How you doing?
Billy, good to be with you today.
Sorry?
I said good to be with you.
Good to be with you too, Mayor. um, let's get to the most tragic story by far this year so far. News broke yesterday that a fire took out three brothers, and you posted it, and you told the world that it was three kids. What is the latest on this incident?
Well, words don't describe the enormity of the loss that this family and this neighborhood are reeling with today. And I had the incident briefing with first responders yesterday, and they got there as fast as they could. The call came. One of the children in the house called 911 and said, "Save us! There's a fire. We can't get out." And the firefighters got there and the police 6 minutes later, but the fire had engulfed the house. It was one of those fires that really took off, and we had a firefighter who risked his own life trying to get in, and had to get medical assistance afterwards. He was putting his own life at risk trying to save these kids. What our first responders have to see, we would never ever want to see. They're going to need counseling after this. There's a GoFundMe page that's been set up to support the mother. She was taking one child to school, but it's a really tough day for the city, and I know the neighborhood is shattered by this incident.
Yeah. I've heard that the GoFundMe page is already up past $40,000, which is, if there is any great news to this. Is the city or yourself going to be donating to this GoFundMe?
Yeah, so we've offered support. We have Peel Regional Police Officers, a family liaison who's connected to the family in an incident like this. And we've offered, if there's any assistance the family needs, then we'll obviously provide it. I think right now the family is still dealing with the trauma of this experience. I don't think they've made a calculation now yet in terms of what they need. They've lost their house, they've lost their family. As you can imagine, I think there's a just utter shock.
Have you reached out to the mom or anything like that, or kind of leave distance?
Yeah, I've left my personal cell number with the family to let them know that if there's anything they require, the city of Brampton is a family, and we'll be there for them.
Okay, perfect. We're going to switch gears to COVID now. What are the hospitalizations like for COVID hospitalizations in Brampton?
So we're seeing an encouraging trend. Both the hospitalization and the ICU numbers are going down. This is a trend that is somewhat predictable. We saw this happen in jurisdictions where Omicron first hit, South Africa, the UK, where there's a sharp increase, and then we're beginning to see a sharp decline. And so our healthcare capacity is going to get better. We certainly felt the challenges over the last few weeks, particularly with staffing shortages, because Omicron took a lot of healthcare staff off the job. There's certainly a level of optimism right now amongst our senior health leadership that there are better days ahead.
Vaccination centers in Brampton, are there any new ones opening up?
Yes, Dr. Lowe is continually adapting, looking for new opportunities to have grassroots vaccination efforts. For example, last weekend I was visiting with MP Ruby Sahota, a faith-based vaccination center. On the Saturday, on the Sunday, I visited a children's-focused vaccination center with Minister Sakari, MPP Sandu, and MPP Yard. And I know Dr. Lowe is continuing his efforts to have faith-based vaccination efforts along with vaccination centers in schools. We already have 26 school-based vaccination clinics confirmed, and there's going to be more to come.
Awesome. Brampton City Council is back next week. What are the main things that you want to prioritize this year?
Well, we actually met this week already on Wednesday, but we are back in session, and the most significant document we passed in December before we had the recess for Christmas, and that was our budget document. So we passed the 2022 City of Brampton budget, which included a fourth consecutive tax freeze. As I look ahead at 2022, I would say COVID continues to be the number one issues. We have to put it behind us. But as we put it behind us, I want to get back to economic development, supporting local businesses, building our recreational input, expanding active transportation, building our transportation corridors. We have a lot of work to do, not to mention sort of the larger projects the city has that we're working with the provincial and federal governments on, whether it's electrified transit, whether it's the new transit facility, expanding the LRT, making sure that we get shovels in the ground for the second hospital, getting the med school off the ground. There's a lot of work on our plate right now, and I'm looking forward to get everyone zoned in on that work as we put COVID in the rearview mirror.
What are your thoughts on the province reopening plan, January 31st? Can't come soon enough, or is it too soon?
Can't come soon enough. As you know, I've had this conversation with you. I struggled with the broad nature of these closures. I said our healthcare capacity would be able to handle this. It did. We have aspects of this lockdown that aren't based on science and data. And the sooner we can lift those provisions, the better. And I've also mentioned, the totality of the cost on society when recreation and community centers are closed. We're struggling with some of the number one healthcare pressures are rising rates of obesity, cardiac issues. Closing recreation isn't going to make that better. And I have to deal with the fact that I get phone calls from small businesses, and every month there's a new small business that calls me and tells me because of this latest lockdown, they're not going to be able to make it, and they're going to have to go under. And just 2 nights ago, I had a gym call me and say that they were going to have to go under. And there's a cost to that when you lose these amenities, when people put their sweat, toil, life savings into businesses and it's gone. There are real consequences of these lockdowns. And so, I have been a critic of broad sweeping lockdowns. I've always felt there should have been more targeted based on where there is outbreaks. It can't come soon enough.
You're at the Premier's Housing Summit this week. Was there any major takeaways?
Well, I should say, first of all, I'm glad the provincial government is having a housing summit. We are seeing escalating real estate prices that make housing affordability a distant dream for many. So we had some hard conversations. There is blame at the doorstep of all levels of government. And I think recognizing that the delay in getting new supply is a problem. There is provincial legislation that is onerous. There's commenting periods that are onerous. There is duplication. We have planning regionally, planning municipally. We've got planning authority provincially. And right now we have more demand than there is supply, and it creates escalating prices. And it's compounded by the fact that we're seeing international inflation and disruptions in the arrival of goods. And so it's just, in terms of affordability, we are seeing a real struggle in the housing market. And so I'm glad there are conversations happening about how we can mitigate that. And I'm looking forward to the report that is to come.
The provincial election is happening June 2nd. What is the biggest ask you're going to ask from the candidates for Brampton?
Well, provincially, my biggest local ask, I want to get that hospital built. I want to get a planning grant. As soon as we get shovels in the ground for the second hospital, I'm going to want a planning grant for the third hospital, because remember, we're still far behind in terms of healthcare equity. And I also want support for our LRT expansion to get the LRT into downtown Brampton. So those are, two significant asks I have of the provincial government, that we need their partnership on those two projects. They've made the commitment on the second hospital, which is significant. I don't want understate the fact that they've really stepped up to the plate with $1 billion commitment, and the med school is wonderful as well. But we're going to need their support on LRT and the planning grant for a third hospital, because the planning grant process takes a long time. If you want to build a third hospital 15 years from now, it starts now.
True. You mentioned the LRT. Are you talking about the tunnel going underground?
Yeah, the tunnel is for the final segment. It would be surface until it got into the downtown. We've got federal support for that through Dominic LeBlanc, the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, but we need to be on both the federal and provincial list. I'm hoping to make the provincial list. I'm looking forward to having a meeting with Kinga Surma, the Provincial Minister of Infrastructure. I had spoke to her on the phone this week, and we're going to be getting together shortly so I can explain to her the merits of this plan.
I'm going to have the Premier probably on next week. Is this what you want me to ask him so I can amplify it?
Yeah, tell him that we're looking forward to his support on the LRT project.
Awesome. Okay, and let's end something with something positive and happy. Brampton summer events, are they going to happen as normal, or is it going to be unique, ticketed, or kind of?
They should. If our provincial emergency officials and federal government listens to the science and the data, we should be back to normal this summer. Dr. Lowe is someone that I admire a great deal, and he's always been very logical. He said to me, Omicron should turn this from a pandemic into an endemic. And, I have a level of optimism that we're going to see a very normal summer. So
Canada Day at Chinguacousy Park and music nights at Garden Square?
I hope so.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Those are all the questions I have for you. Mayor, thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
I got one question for you, though.
Yes, go ahead.
You get to ask all the questions. I want to close with one question for you. Are you going to build a backyard hockey rink?
Probably not. I'm going to be, Mayor Brown, I just moved into a house. So my backyard is what I get right now, and no, I'm not going to. But I'm following all the hockey rinks that I see online. It's getting
it's blowing up. We're gonna have. I know you play hockey, so we're gonna probably have about 1,000 backyard rinks in Brampton. It's a beautiful thing to see, but I'm always pushing for more. I want to make sure that Brampton has more outdoor amenities than any other city in the country.
I don't live in Brampton, and that's why last week I asked if other cities can do it, because I was going to participate if
Khalid, there's always time to move to Brampton.
Before the contest is up?
Maybe not.
Okay. Sorry, do you have a backyard ice rink?
I did. I built my own, and I'm encouraging everyone to build the rink. It's takes a lot of time and patience, and you need that perfect cold weather. But you know what we have right now? As it's the only time of year I think I hope for colder weather. We got perfect weather for building ice right now.
True. And then why don't you tell us about the prizes and for this backyard ice rink contest?
So you got everyone who enters the contest gets a prize. Canadian Tire, Tim Hortons have sponsored the contest, but we got some really amazing prizes for the top rinks. We've got Doug Gilmore and Wendell Clark, who I know quite well, have agreed to come out and skate on the winning rink and play hockey with those children. We also have Wayne Gretzky donated a Team Canada jersey that is signed. A local real estate firm, Remax, donated Maple Leaf tickets. We've got some signed Wayne Gretzky books. We got Canadian Tire, Boston Pizza, gift certificates. We're getting more and more prizes donated because there's a lot of excitement in this contest. So everyone's the winner, and the top prizes are pretty exceptional. Not many people can say they'll have 2 Maple Leaf captains show up at their backyard rink.
That's a pretty good picture. My back is fine now. So after the pandemic, if you need any extra bodies for hockey, just let me know.
Okay.
All right.
Count on it.
Okay. Thanks, Mayor. Take care.